The lady here in the green?
Solo's girlfriend.
Solo's girlfriend, meaning?
This lady, yeah.
Meaning Timmy's girlfriend?
Yes.
How many times have you seen her in your life?
I've seen her maybe like
twice?
6, 7 times.
So a handful of times?
Yeah, I've seen her. When they parked their car in my backyard.
But you don't know her personally?
No, I don't know her personally.
And you did not see her the day that the safe was brought to your home?
No, I did not see her.
The opportunity, which is, you have a girlfriend, a 13-year girlfriend?
Yes.
And what is her name?
Barbara Welch.
And does she work?
What is this relevant to?
Your Honor, if you just bear with me for a minute. It's my understanding that there's going to be a phone conversation brought in through his girlfriend later, and I want to tie
Why
that
do I
up.
need to know if she works?
Well, because I think she does something else for a living that's relevant.
Why don't you ask that?
Okay. You sell marijuana, correct?
Objection or relevance?
It's not irrelevant.
Why is it relevant?
It's relevant to why there be any contact at all between my client and his girlfriend and or him.
And I'll sustain the objection. Thank you.
Now, you testified earlier that you didn't know the safe was stolen, correct?
In the beginning,
Correct.
I didn't know what was going on. I tried to figure that out.
It was locked, correct?
Yes.
And nobody had keys.
Yes.
You didn't know it was stolen.
Yes.
You gave the gun or sold the gun to a friend, correct?
Yes.
And you gave the sledgehammer to someone? A
Yes.
friend, you said.
Yes.
So, you know many friends that buy stolen property.
Objection, Your Honor. Sustain.
You said that Mr. Timmy Soto had a reputation.
Yes.
What was that reputation for?
Judge, I'm going to object. That might be a trial issue, but not a probable cause issue. I'll rule.
Just his appetite, like.
I can't hear you, sir.
Just his, like. Just looking at him, you could just be imitated by him.
Intimidated, is that the word you mean?
Yes.
But you said reputation. Do you know what reputation means?
No.
Sir, were you afraid of the defendant for some reason?
Yes.
Why?
Because he shot one of my friend's dad.
Not often for the truth of the matter, sir, but why he's supposedly afraid.
Afraid of his violent nature. Is that
Yes.
accurate? Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Silver?
Thank you. And on this particular day, when people came to your house with this safe, you were particularly afraid of him that day, is that correct?
Yes.
I mean, according to you, he had a gun on his lap when he went up to his car, is that
Yes.
right? And I think what you, well, let me ask you this. You've had a number of conversations with various police officers regarding this case, is that correct?
Yes.
You've talked to Lance Sullivan, Sergeant Sullivan, who's stated in the courtroom today, right?
Yes.
You spoke to Sergeant Jimenez. He spoke to you mostly in Spanish, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I know it was two Latinos.
Okay. And you've talked to a lot of police officers about what you did and what everybody else did back in the winter time of 2015. Is that right?
Yes.
And one of the things that you told one of the officers is that when you approached the car, there was, this was in January of 2016, you said that you noticed that Mr. Soto had a large gun, a large revolver on his lap that said judge. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's what you've testified here today too, correct?
Yes.
But what you also told the police that day is that it seemed like it would really hurt someone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the only person who had a gun that day was Mr. Soto. Is that correct?
Yes.
And according to you, not only did he have that large judge gun, when you went down the basement, he pulled out a shotgun from his pants. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. And so you were scared of him at that point too. Is that correct?
I was just scared regardless because
Wait, I didn't understand. You wasn't scared or you was?
I am scared of him because what if I would have started acting like nervous or something, he could have shot me.
Okay.
You know, I didn't know what was on his mind.
Okay. And so after that was, while that was going on, you took a sledgehammer and started breaking open that safe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you've testified here to today. Is that correct?
Yes.
You would agree with me that in the past you lied even about that. Is that right?
I told him about me opening the safe
Okay.
and
You always told them that you opened the safe.
me and Solo.
Okay, because that's the truth. You and Soto opened the safe. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I think you told us that the person you've identified as Rasnick, Christian.
I didn't know him at first. Like when he first came to the house, I did not know who he was.
Okay, that's right. You didn't know him. You'd never seen him before.
No.
You have to let me finish, okay?
Yes.
I don't want to get admonished like Miss Stout did.
Yes.
Okay, you'd never seen him before that day. Is that correct?
Yes.
You didn't know who he was.
No.
Okay. All you knew is that he was in the car with Timmy Soto and the judge and the shotgun in Timmy Soto's pants, correct?
Yes.
All right. So when you talked to the police a number of times, correct?
Yes.
And you were never able to give the police the name of the other person that was with Solo, is that correct?
Yes.
And in fact, what happened is you and what you call her your wife, Miss Welch, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You're not legally married, but you consider her your wife, right?
Yes.
And that's what you call her, correct? All right. So you and your wife, Miss Welch, spent some time looking on various kinds of social media, is that correct? Looking at Timmy Soto, is that right?
Yes.
And that's when you came up with Mr. Rasnick, is that correct?
No, on the internet, I didn't know who he was. I was trying to figure out who was the other person that was with Solo, and we never figured it out.
Okay. But you would agree with me that at some point in time, your wife gave you some information which led you to believe that she had been provided with the name of the person that was with Timmy Soto that day. Is that correct? Do you want me to break that down a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So sometime between that time in the winter when they came to your house,
Yes.
they're not showing your face. I know you keep looking over there. Is that a concern for you? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Please concentrate on the questions. The news media have been instructed by the judge not to show your face. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Sometime in the winter, they come over to the house with the safe, right?
Yes.
All right. And shortly after that, you know there's some problems with what happened. Is that correct?
Yes.
So your wife tells you that she has found out.
My wife didn't say anything
You
to
have
me.
to. She never talked to you?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
She never talked to you about finding out who the person with Timmy Soto was? So,
I thought we were sticking with my story, not hers.
we're trying to stick with the truth, okay?
Yes.
So let's stick with the truth, okay? No stories, the truth. Now, Did you have a conversation with your wife?
Yes.
Okay, you have to let me finish. Did you have a conversation with your wife wherein she told you that she had learned the name of the person that came to your house with Timmy Soto and all those guns?
Yes.
All right. And so after you got the name of the person from your wife about as to who had been to the house, you and your wife looked at some social media to see if you could find some pictures of that person.
Yes.
You have to let me finish. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So, how many times did the police show you photos of individuals that were involved? Like a lineup. You know what a lineup is, right?
They showed me at the police station.
Okay. And at the police station, that would have been when?
That was when they had raided my house and they took me in.
Okay. Was that in the very beginning?
That was the very beginning.
All right. And who did they show you pictures of that day?
They showed Solo, his girlfriend, and Chris wasn't in there.
Okay. So, when they raided your house, which was in, can we agree that that date was in December of 2015? Does that sound right?
Yes.
Before Christmas?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
They showed you pictures of Timmy Soto, and when you say his girlfriend, are you talking about Miss O'Neill, the lady in court today?
Yes.
And no pictures of anybody that was Mr. Rasnick, correct?
Yes.
How many other times did they show you lineups?
They showed me, it was, I think 2 times after that, 2 more times.
All right. And was that when you came to the police station in January? You picked up Mr. Rasnick, is that
Yes.
right? That's after you and your wife had looked at the social media and picked out these pictures, is that correct?
Yes.
I don't have anything further.
Any redirect?
The vote, please. You mentioned that the tool called a flathead, would that be the pry bar or crowbar?
It'd be the screwdriver, the flathead.
Okay. Who's using that?
Who's using that? Solo.
So, okay. And that's different from the hammer, the small hammer, correct?
Yeah.
No, I have no questions.
Sir, when you went on social media with your girlfriend / wife,
Yes.
whatever the case may be, looking for pictures of the defendants,
Yes.
when you ran across Mr. Rasnick picture, did you recognize him as being the person that was with defendant Soto?
Yes, when I seen it on the news and they said that something about the DNA, so I figured that had been him
Oh, okay.
on the news.
You don't have any independent recollection that this was the man that came to
It
your
was in the
house?
basement. It was like I said in the beginning, I didn't know who he was.
Hey, regardless of whether or not you knew who he was, did you recognize him?
Did I recognize him? The other guy looked younger, but the
So
face is,
you can't say that this is the person.
but the face is almost there.
Face is almost there.
Yes.
Any questions based on my questions?
It's a good question. Just so the third fellow sitting over here farthest away from Timmy,
Yes.
do you recognize him or not? Real simple. If you do, where do you recognize him from?
In the basement when he came in the house.
Okay, we talk about that. The other guy, what are you talking about? Was younger?
The guy that was in the basement, like he had like a lot of like acne in his face.
Okay. Is that the guy that was in the basement or not? That's what I'm asking.
I'm like I say about 70, 80%. Not.
Fair enough. But does he look different today than he looked?
Yes.
When he was in the basement? What's different?
The other guy, he had like a haircut
Different haircut?
Yeah, different haircut.
Okay. And you mentioned there was something on his face. Describe that for us.
Yeah, he had acne.
Okay. And other than that, does this appear to be the guy, about 80%, that was in your basement?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Anything else?
No?
Thank you, sir. You may stay.
We ask this witness be excused, and our next witness will be Miss Barbara Welch.
Good afternoon, young lady. Please step forward and give your name and spelling to the lady sitting here.
Barbara Welch, B-A-R-B-A-R-A-W-E-L-C-H.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat there. Speak directly into that microphone for us, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. May I proceed?
Please.
Thank you. Ma'am, can you begin by telling the judge your name?
Barbara Welch,
And Miss Welch, how old are you?
27.
Miss Welch, I want to direct your attention, do you know someone by the name of Angel Miranda Mall?
Yes, that's my boyfriend.
Pardon me?
Yes, that's my boyfriend.
How long has he been your boyfriend?
13 years.
Do you have any children in common with him?
4 kids.
I want to direct your attention back to December of last year. You don't have to tell us your address, but were you at your home in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
What street's that on?
Plumber.
How long have you lived on Plummer Street?
About 4 years now.
Back in December of 2015, would you see anybody in court today that you recognize?
Yes.
All right, can you point out those people, describe what they're wearing, tell us where they're seated so we know who they are?
The first young man in the yellow and the second young man at the end in the yellow.
Okay. And let's start with the first young man in the yellow, closest to me. Who do you know him to be?
Solo.
Solo?
Solo.
Is that a nickname or a given name, or do you know?
The nickname, I guess.
Have you subsequently learned his name to be Timmy Soto?
Yes.
Okay. And how long had you known, I'm going to call him Mr. Soto, as of December of last year, 2015?
First time I met him was on Oakdale, which was about 4 years ago.
And you mentioned you recognize the other young man in yellow furthest from me.
I've actually never seen him before. That was the first time seeing him when he was at the house.
Okay. When was he at your house?
In December.
Okay. Prior to that, to the best of your knowledge, had you ever seen him before in your life?
No.
Okay. And do you recall the date that he came by your house?
No, not right offhand.
Do you remember what day of the week it might have been?
I know it was before Christmas.
Before Christmas?
Yes.
Fair enough. When did you, what's the first thing you see or hear that lets you know that Mr. Soto and this other young man are at your house?
I was upstairs in the bedroom and I had seen on my cameras them coming into the house.
Now when you say cameras, what kind of cameras are these?
Surveillance cameras on my house.
What are they there for?
Bird protection.
And are there some that face towards the front street of the house?
Yes.
Okay. And which cameras did you see Mr. Soto? And the other fellow here, did you ever know a name for him prior to this? No. Indicated for the record defendant number 3, Mr. Rasnick. What camera did you, do you have multiple monitors or is there just one?
It's one monitor with all 4 cameras on there.
Or a screen with 4
Yeah.
smaller images in it?
Yes.
One for each camera.
Yes.
Which camera did you first see Mr. Soto and I'm going to call him Mr. Rasnick on?
That would have been on the, I believe it's the first camera that has the camera right by my front door.
And when you see them, what are they doing?
They was bringing in a safe at the moment.
Pardon me?
They was bringing in a safe at the moment.
Okay. What happens then?
From when they first came in, I didn't know what was going on. I was upstairs. When I came downstairs, that's when I was coming down from upstairs. I had heard them down in the basement.
You say you heard, what did you hear coming from the basement?
I heard the other young man, which now that I know is Chris, asking what's in there.
Did you hear any other sounds coming from the
I'm
basement?
going to object, unless she was down there, I don't know how she would know who was speaking.
Prior to this,
Had you clear out?
you knew Mr. Mull's voice, correct?
Yes, and I knew Solo's voice.
Okay. The voice that you heard say what's in there,
Was a voice that I didn't know.
didn't know. Okay. Very good. Based on that, whose voice did you believe that to be?
Now, Chris's.
Very good. Prior to that, did you hear any other noises coming from down the basement?
Being upstairs now.
Okay. How many floors are there in the house?
You got the basement, the main floor, and then the upstairs, so 3 floors altogether.
Gotcha. What happens then once you hear, hey, what's in it?
I couldn't see it on towards the front of the house, putting my kids' clothes away.
What's the next thing that happens?
I had went back upstairs to go finish doing clothes, and that's when I had looked at the cameras, and I noticed that they were leaving the house.
Who all was leaving your house?
It was Timmy and Chris.
What did you do then?
That's when I came downstairs, and I had yelled for Angel, and he said he was in the basement. And I walked down there, and that's when I had seen the safe.
And when you see the safe, can you describe it as best you can for the court?
It was about a medium-sized safe, but pretty big.
Can you give us about how wide was it?
It's about that wide.
Witnesses holding their hands, guesstimate about 2 feet apart, give or take. And what about the other dimensions of it? How deep it was? How?
I'd say maybe about 2 feet deep.
2 feet deep.
Yeah.
And how wide or long? Crossways.
I would probably have to say maybe like 2.5 feet, long ways.
Long ways. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you saw it, what kind of shape was it in?
There was no, what do you call it? The lid to it was completely off.
So the door to it?
The door was gone, yes.
Was Mr. Miranda Mull in the basement when you got down there?
Yes.
Okay. When you see the safe there, what else did you see, if anything, at that point?
It was just that, and then just, basically like the screws and stuff was all over the ground.
What happens then when you see that?
I asked Angel, my boyfriend, what was this, and he said that, he didn't know exactly whose safe it was. At the time, he thought it was theirs.
How did you respond to that?
My first thought that there was something fishy.
Did you let Mr.
Yeah, yes, I did.
What happens then?
It was in the basement for about a couple of days, and we were watching the news, and I seen that there was a murder that had happened, and they said there was a truck that was missing and a safe.
When you see that, was Mr. Miranda Mull also watching the news with you at that time?
No, I had showed him the news. I was watching it on my iPad.
And do you relay that information, show that to Mr. Miranda Mull?
Yes.
What happens then?
And then he started, like a normal person would, not knowing what was going on. He
Objection,
started freaking out.
Judge, objection. First of all, we don't know who she's talking about, and I would ask that she not tell us what a normal person would do, but rather limit her testimony to what she actually saw or heard.
Fair enough. What did specifically Mr. Miranda Mull do?
He started freaking out. He's like, oh my goodness, babe, what do I do? What if this is his stuff? I don't know what to do.
What happens then?
Then he was down in the basement. After I showed him, he went down to the basement.
What's the next thing that happens?
He turned around and told me that he had spray paint, that he spray painted the safe and that he had gotten rid of it.
Is that all that same day that you show him the video, or is this over a couple of days?
I'd say over a couple of days after I showed him.
Now, at some point in time, do police make contact with you?
Yes.
How does that contact come about?
We was at the doctor's office for
When you say we, who's we?
me, Angel, my boyfriend, our oldest son, Angel, and my youngest daughter, Skylar.
And what happened?
We was coming out of the doctor's office. I was at the pharmacy, and I asked Angel to go get the car for me. And that's when he had came back in and turned and told me that to give me the keys because he had to leave with the officers.
Besides the police going away with Angel, did you also speak to the police?
Yes.
At what point in time did you talk to the police?
That was when I had walked out of the doctor's office and we got out into the hallway by the stairs. They introduced themselves to me.
And you also make a statement to the police telling them about what you remembered about the safe and all that?
Yes.
Did there come a point in time where the police came to your home?
Yes.
Were you there when the police came the first time?
We was in the doctor's office. I guess they was there, but then they followed us to the doctor's office. Took my DVR from my cameras. They had took my boyfriend Angel's cell phone, and they had took a crowbar out of the house.
After the police at that time, did you find anything else in your house?
Yes, I did.
Is that before or after the police had done that?
That was after.
What do you find in your house?
I was down in the basement. I was cleaning up, and I had found a sand bucket that was my children's next to the trash bag.
When you say a sand bucket, is this like a beach bucket?
Yeah, a beach bucket.
And whereabouts was that in the basement?
It was next to the trash bag, which was right on the side of my steps.
Which means you come down the steps, close by.
Yes.
And what did you notice in the sand bucket that caught your interest?
There was an orange card that I seen in there, and when I had leaned down and looked at it, I had seen the name David on there. So I had put a sock over my hand and picked it up, and I noticed that it was the fireman's name, David. I can't pronounce his last name.
And you spell it or?
Yeah, all I know is it starts with an M.
I said Madrigal, that refresh recollection. When you saw that in the sand bucket, what do you do?
I finished going through to see everything that was in there, and then I had called the Sergeant Sullivan and told him that there was some stuff I found and he needed to come to the house.
And did Sergeant Sullivan or another police officer come to your house?
Yes.
And did they collect that?
Yes.
This card, what kind of card was this?
It was like a birth certificate.
Had birth information on it?
Yeah.
Besides, can you describe some of the other items in the bucket that were returned?
There was the birth information. There was a key for a Harley Davidson. There was two little gold charms that looked like they were dice. And then I had found a gold tooth on my little table that I had my tools on top of.
To the best of your knowledge, was that gold tooth in there before
No.
safe came by? Was that also true?
Yes.
Besides the two young men that came by your house, safe that day, do you recognize anybody else in court today?
Yes, the female.
And the female, by what name do you know her?
Nikki.
And where do you know her from?
I know her as Timmy's girlfriend.
And whereabouts do you see her in life?
What do you mean by
Well,
that?
how do you know her? How did you meet her?
I met her when she had came to the house one time with Timmy.
With him. How long ago was that?
That was like during the summertime.
Now, Did there come a point in time where you received a phone call from someone, from Nikki's girlfriend, or excuse me, not Nikki, Timmy's girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And when that phone call comes in, how did you recognize it? How did you know it was I'm going to call her, well, for the record witnesses described, identified defendant number 2, Nichole O'Neill. So I'm going to refer to her as Miss O'Neill. Okay.
Okay.
When the call comes in, how did you know it was Miss O'Neill?
I had asked who it was, and she told me who she was.
And did the voice sound familiar to you?
It sounded familiar, I just couldn't place the name at the time.
When she told you who she was, did you recognize her?
Yes.
I recognize the voice anyway.
Yes.
And can you describe the nature of that conversation with the court? What was that all about?
That was about Mr. Timmy Soto being locked up for carjacking, and that she wanted to talk about somebody that was supposedly setting him up for that.
And did you make a recording of that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you ultimately turn that audio recording over to the police?
Yes.
Besides talking, I mean, how often would you talk? And well, let me ask you this: do you remember about when that phone call came in?
That was, and I don't remember exactly when, but it was after he had gotten arrested for the carjacking.
Is that after the police had recovered the items from the bucket?
Yes.
You know, it was after first of the year of 2016?
Yes.
Prior to that, how often would you get a phone call from Miss O'Neill?
Not that often. She called me once before, and that was looking for Timmy. That was it.
Besides the phone call where she had called you saying, looking for Mr. Soto, yes or no answers.
Yes.
And the phone call where she was calling you after he had been arrested for the carjacking, do you remember any other phone calls from Miss O'Neill?
No.
Any text messages back and forth, anything like that?
No.
Okay. Besides, what did you make of her calling you to let you know about what had happened with Timmy? What was in your mind?
Objection. I don't understand. What did you make of her? I mean, what did you observe? What did you hear?
Rephrase.
What did you say?
Yeah. Besides talking to you about Timmy getting picked up, what else did she have to say?
She was saying that he was getting set up for it, and she wanted to know if I had heard anything about that. And I had asked her, are you sure that it's not the young man that came to my house with him?
And how did she respond to that?
She told me, no, not him. And she explained, I can't remember exact words, she explained, about him basically saying that he's, how can I put this? That he's not altogether.
Not altogether in what way?
That, basically he's not a person that would, try to set somebody up.
And when you say to her, what about that young man that was by my home that Wednesday, does she ask you any questions about what day you're talking about, when's it supposed to happen?
No.
Based on her response, did she appear to know what you were talking about?
Yes.
Did you ask her if she knew the name of that other young man who lived by your house?
She had given me his name.
And what name did she give you?
Chris Rasnick.
Now, after what else did she have to say to you?
She turned and told me that you can Google his name. She said, and you'll see him.
You turn that over to the police?
Yes.
Did you give him your cell phone, or how did you give it to him?
I emailed it to him.
This time I'd like to have marked the proposed exhibit number 4. Audio recording of the phone call. Very good. we're offering this as to defendant number 2 only. No, it's gone to sleep. This mark is published forward. And damage. Apologize, Your Honor. Having a few minor technical. There we go. Turn that audio recording over to Detective Sullivan, correct?
Yes.
And did you also provide the phone number that you had for Nichole O'Neill to the police?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall off the top of your head what that was?
No.
Did you record that in your statement?
Yes, I did.
And where did you have that? Where did you get that from? If you know what I mean.
I had it stored in my phone from when Timmy had called, and he had told me that this was his girl's number.
And what name did you have it under on your phone?
Solo's girl.
If I showed you your statement, that refresh your recollection as to what that cell phone number was.
Yes.
That may approach the witness.
You may.
Direct your attention to the top of that page.
Okay.
And what number did you have for Miss Nichole O'Neill, Solo's girl?
313-629-8636.
After that phone call, did you have any other contact with either Mr. Soto or Miss O'Neill?
No.
Did there come a point in time where you went to a hotel to pick him up?
Yes, there.
When was that?
That was
Was that before or after the phone call? Oh,
before the phone call.
and how, explain to the court how that contact came about.
It was Timmy had called my phone, and my boyfriend Angel had the phone at the time and had answered it, and he had asked for a ride from a hotel, him and 2 children.
Who asked for the ride?
Timmy did.
Did you go to the hotel to pick them up?
My thing was to go to the hotel to pick the kids up so they wouldn't be stranded.
Gotcha. And how'd you get to the hotel to pick Timmy up?
I had took the expressway there.
What kind of car were you in?
I was in my Dodge Journey.
Okay. And who went with you?
Me and my boyfriend Angel.
When you get to, what hotel do you go to?
I think it was called the Western Inn. That's right off the expressway.
And which expressway?
Was 75.
Gotcha. Are you taking 75 south or north? Towards Ohio or towards?
Going towards like Ohio.
Gotcha. And how long after the day Mr. Soto and Mr. Rasnick were at your house with the safe are you going to this hotel to pick up the kids?
This was, I don't know the approximate time. It was the time when his girlfriend Nikki had gotten into a car accident.
Gotcha. Is this before or after, if you know, you saw the news report about what went down with the safe?
This is after.
After. Knowing that, did you still go to pick Mr. Soto up?
My intentions was for the kids.
When you got there, were there some children there?
Yes, there was.
Whose kids were these?
They were Nikki's kids.
And had you met those kids before?
No.
What led you to believe they were Nikki's kids?
When Angel was on the phone with Timmy, he told him that if he could pick him and Nikki's 2 children up.
And when you get to the hotel, who did you pick up?
Picked up Timmy and a young boy and a young girl.
When you say young boy, about how young?
I'd say at least I'd say about 8 to 10.
And what, the young lady, how old was she?
She was about a teenager.
Teenager, I got you. One under 10, one teenager.
Yes.
Did you also pick up Mr. Soto?
Yes.
When you arrived, is Mr. Soto outside waiting for you or inside?
He was outside talking to a white van.
Okay. When you say talking to a white van, was he talking to the van or somebody in the van?
Somebody in the van.
And you were able to see that person?
All I could tell was it was a female, kind of heavy set.
Younger female, older female?
Older female.
You say older than you, older than me?
Older than me.
Did you see anybody else in the white van besides the older female?
I seen another passenger, but I couldn't tell exactly who it was.
Male or female, younger?
It looked like a male.
When you arrive there, does Timmy walk over to where you are, or do you go over to where he is talking to people?
No, he walked over to where we was sitting at.
Did you make any mention to him about the incident with the safe during that trip?
No.
Why not?
Technically, I didn't know what to say to him about that. My mind was going in different directions.
Did Angel say anything to him about the safe?
Angel didn't say nothing to him until Timmy had asked him if he got rid of it.
Are those, to the best of your recollection, the exact words Timmy used? Did you get rid of it?
Yes.
And how did Angel respond to it?
He said yes, I did.
Do you recall how Mr. Soto responded to that?
He was just okay. I really wasn't trying to pay attention to him.
Where do you take him to? Where do you drop him off at?
We dropped him off at on Lane. I believe it was at Nikki's house.
Pardon me?
I believe it was Nikki's house on Lane.
Lane Street?
Yes.
Is that also in the city of Detroit?
Yes, it is.
I have no further questions at this time. Thank you.
Cross-examine.
Thank you.
know it's after me. How long, oh, you've already answered the question, how long you've known Nikki and Timmy? How long is that again?
I've known Timmy for about 4 years. Nikki, I had just met her.
During the 4 years that you knew Mr. Soto, Timmy Soto, how many times do you think he came to your house?
Living where we're at now on Plummer, I'd say at least maybe 3, maybe 4 times.
Coming inside the house or staying outside the house?
Both coming in and coming, staying
Did you ever go to
outside.
the basement?
No, that was his first time in the basement.
When you saw on the camera people coming into the house
Yes,
on the day when the safe came in, did you see the safe?
yes, I seen him carrying a safe.
All right. Did you immediately come downstairs or did you stay upstairs?
No, I stayed upstairs finishing my laundry.
Okay. And what caused you to come downstairs?
I was bringing the clothes that was for my sons down to their room.
So the sight of a safe coming into your house didn't cause you to suddenly break away from what you're doing?
I didn't think of, there was anything, wrong at the time.
When you get to the basement, you see 3 people?
No, I didn't go to the basement.
Or you never went to the basement?
No.
Did you ever go down to the basement
Yes, after they had left.
after they had left? Okay. And after the 2 had left, Angel is still, your husband is still there, right?
Yes.
Does he say anything to you about what just happened?
He just turned around and said that he didn't know, exactly whose safe it was.
Okay. Did he tell you that he just purchased a gun?
Little bit after he had turned around and told me.
Did he tell you that they gave him $100 from the safe?
Yes, he did tell me that.
Did he ever tell you that he was threatened by Timmy Soto?
Objection. It's be hearsay or... It's not exception.
Overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Did he ever tell you he was threatened by Timmy Soto?
He did tell me that he had put a gun onto his lap and had asked him, it was basically like telling him, help me open the safe.
Okay, so when you heard him say that,
I didn't hear him say that. My boyfriend Angel had told me.
I'm sorry, when your husband said that, I saw a gun on his lap, did that communicate to you that your husband was fearful, or was he just describing something he saw?
He was describing him being feared for his life and for ours.
So your impression was that Angel did what he did because he saw the gun?
Yes, he was scared for his life because he was afraid that if he would say no, that Solo could have shot him and nobody would have knew who had did that.
And did he say the gun was pointed at him?
He didn't say.
How long, if you know, if you can guess, how long were those people in your house?
I'd say maybe tops about an hour.
Did you hear banging?
I was upstairs and I hear no banging.
Do you know how long the safe remained in your house until it was moved?
It was about maybe 2-3 days later.
Did you see it getting painted?
No, but I smelled the paint.
Did you ever have a discussion about maybe keeping the safe?
No, we did not.
By discussion, I mean with Angel, Miranda Moll,
Yes.
about keeping the safe.
No, we did not.
Do you know what happened to the gun?
All I know is that my boyfriend Angel had turned and told me that he had got rid of it.
Excuse me.
Do you know what, jumping forward now, do you know what occasioned the fact that you had to go out to this hotel to pick up the children?
Timmy had called and said that his girlfriend had gotten into a car accident and she couldn't make it to pick them up.
Are you stating that the events that were recorded on your camera are events regarding the people coming into the house and leaving, are events that were saved on the recorder and the police pulled up?
No, my cameras don't read, they only save so far and then they start deleting.
Okay. So is it your belief that the people who entered your house with the safe was an event that was not recorded or not saved by your camera?
It was recorded, but it just wasn't saved. After so long, it deletes itself.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
How long does it delete itself?
I'd say about a week.
So there was an opportunity between the time you're suggesting people came to your house with the safe and the news that told you a story about the safe, that you could have saved that tape. Correct? It was within a week, correct?
Well, what it is it records a week, but every time it moves a day, it takes a day off. So say like you're on it says there's the 30th, say you're at the 6th, the 30th will disappear. And then when you move to the 7th, the 1st will disappear.
Okay, but you had a period there where you had videotape of people coming into your home with the safe, correct?
Yes.
And you did not do anything to preserve that video, correct?
Correct.
Where are the cameras at your house besides the two in the front?
There's 3 in the front and 1 in the back.
What about the sides?
No.
Aren't they for security only?
Yes, I just didn't, when I bought the cameras, it only came with the 4.
So you put 3 in the front.
Yes.
Are you selling marijuana from the house?
Objection, Your Honor.
Is that relevant to?
Your Honor, I explained before that I think it's relevant to any communication between my client and Ms. Welsh.
I don't see the connection sustained.
So you weren't concerned about the security on the side of your house?
No.
Were there windows on the side of your house?
There's windows on the side of my house.
Thank you. Now, you said you've only talked to Ms. O'Neill twice on the phone,
Yes.
but you've seen her
I've seen her once.
just one other time, and that was this. When was that other time?
That was during the summertime when she came to my house with Timmy.
Okay. And when you went to this Best Western Inn,
Yes.
she was not present.
No, she wasn't.
You had understood she was in a car accident,
Yes.
and that Mr. Soto and her children needed a ride.
Yes.
And this was after Christmas of 2015, correct?
Yes.
After the safe incident.
Yes.
Weeks later, correct?
Yes.
They weren't living at the hotel, were they?
I don't know. All I know is they asked to be picked up.
And you took them back to Lane Street.
Yes.
Lane Street is where Nikki lives.
That's what I was told, yes.
All right. Now, you said that you had limited conversations with Nikki, and you didn't recognize her phone number?
No, because she had called from a different number.
I see. Because you had her number programmed, right?
Yes.
When you had this conversation with Nikki on the telephone, when was that?
That was after Timmy had got locked up for the carjackings.
What month would that have been?
I can't recall it off.
Was it Christmas time?
There was snow out. It could have been in January.
So it was not the day of the safe,
No.
or the day you and your husband ditched the safe.
No.
It was still winter.
Yes.
So it was sometime after you heard the news about the safe incident.
Yes.
So when Nikki called you, she was questioning you about somebody setting up Timmy for carjacking.
Yes.
And she wondered if you had information.
Yes.
But you had, and you said she mentioned something about the safe incident?
No, she had asked if I knew anybody that would set him up for carjacking. And I told her no.
Because she wasn't at your house with the safe, correct?
No.
And you never discussed that with her at all,
No.
correct? So her phone call about Timmy being set up is completely unrelated, correct?
Yes.
And she was concerned that he was being set up.
Yes.
And you don't know where she got that information.
No.
And when you picked up Mr. Soto and the children, it was actually, the children went with the grandmother, correct? In her vehicle?
No.
No, the children went
The
with...
children got in the car with Timmy and me and my boyfriend Angel.
And you took the children and Mr. Soto to
Lane Street.
Lane Street and dropped them off?
Yes.
And that was the end of it?
Yes.
You've never heard from Ms. O'Neill since then, have you? Had any conversation?
No.
Nothing further, thank you.
Okay. Mr. O'Donnell, I know your time is very limited. So are you going to be very long? You think?
No, Judge. I can't stand that
Let's
long.
see if we can try to squeeze it in.
Thank you.
Ms. Welch, you've told us that the person at the end of the table, who you now know is Christian Rasnick, that's somebody you've never seen before, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And I would imagine that the only times you have now seen him are on TV, because
Yes.
he was arrested, right?
True.
And when you searched him up on social media, is that correct?
Yes.
And you searched him up on social media before you were ever presented with any lineups from the police, is that correct?
Yes.
So when you looked at the lineups that the police showed you, you picked out somebody that you recognized from searching him up on social media, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the day that Timmy came to the house with the other man and the safe, you told us that you were upstairs folding laundry, correct?
Yes.
And so you saw them coming in to your house, would that be to the front door?
Yes.
And they were carrying the safe, is that correct?
Yes.
And that's all you saw, correct?
Yes.
And then you think they went down the basement, is that right?
Yes.
You had no cameras looking at them down the basement, is that correct?
No, I did not.
And so they were down there for a time period while you stayed upstairs putting away laundry,
Yes.
and then they left, correct?
Yes.
And they walked out the front door?
Yes.
You saw the backs of them leaving, is that correct?
Yes.
So you never really had a very good opportunity to look at them, is that a fair statement?
I seen Chris's, like half of his face when he walked into the house through the camera.
So you saw half of the person that you've identified as Chris when he walked into the house, correct?
Yes.
Now, when you saw this come up on your TV sometime before Christmas on the news, did you call the police and tell them, hey, I know all about this and I know who brought the safe, I know who had it?
No, because I was scared for me and my children.
Okay, so the answer is no, you didn't call the police, correct?
Yes.
Instead, you helped your boyfriend hide information and hide items from the police. Is that a fair statement?
You could put it that way, yes.
I'm sorry?
You could put it that way, yes.
All right. So Christmas comes and goes, correct?
Yes.
And you don't call the police, right?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, you never go to the police, they come to you, is that correct?
Yes.
So between the time that Timmy came into the house with the safe, which was before Christmas, and the time the police came looking for you, did you tell anybody else about what had happened?
No,
Okay. Is that when you began searching up this person on Facebook, or was it after the police confronted you?
it was after.
Okay. So if the first statement that I have anyway from the police with your name on it is January 19th, 2016, is that the first time you spoke with the police?
Yes,
About a month later?
yes,
All right. So in that month, you hadn't seen this other person that was with Timmy or looked for him or knew who he was or anything of that nature. Is that correct?
correct.
Is it the 19th? And that's only after the police come to your kid's doctor's office and take your boyfriend away, right?
Yes.
You knew what they were doing, what the police wanted from him, didn't you?
At the moment, no, I didn't. I was trying to keep my mind off of that.
You were trying to keep your mind off of why the police were taking your boyfriend away?
No, of what Timmy and the other gentleman had did.
Okay. Well, you don't know that the other gentleman had did anything, is that correct?
Yes.
I mean, you didn't see him do anything, did you?
No, I didn't.
All right. So, the 19th then, that's the first time you speak to the police, correct?
Yes.
All right. And then you tell the police that that the safe was brought into the house by Tim Soto and a little white boy, right?
Yes.
That's what you called him, a little white boy.
Yes.
And then you said, I don't know him. I found a picture of him on Facebook. The picture was on the page of Mark Ingersoll. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's what you told the police?
That's who I thought it was at first.
I'm sorry?
That's who I thought it was at first because he kind of resembles him.
Okay, so at first, you find a picture of somebody else, not Mr. Rasnick, on Facebook, right?
Yes.
And you tell the police that's who it was, correct?
I said he looked like this person.
Ma'am, that's what you told the police, right?
Yes.
I found a picture of him on Facebook. That's what your words are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes? Not I think he looks like him. I found him on Facebook, right?
Yes.
And it was somebody not sitting here in court today, is that correct?
Yes.
Later, you get some information from a Soto girlfriend or whatever number you have on your phone, and you ask her for information, is that right?
I didn't ask her for information. She had asked me a question if I knew who had set Timmy up.
Ma'am, you asked her questions, didn't you? You asked her, who, do you think it's the little white boy that came to the house with Timmy? How do you spell his name? Remember asking her all kinds of questions?
That was after she gave me his name, yes.
Yeah. And at that point, well, first of all, she wasn't at the house, and when I say she, I'm talking about Miss O'Neill. She wasn't at the house the day that Timmy and the little white boy came with the safe, was she?
No.
All right. So you're asking her about something that she wasn't even there for, right?
Yes.
She gives you a name, Rasnick, correct?
Correct.
Calls him a little scumbag, right?
Yes, that would be her words.
Yep. And a fucking little scumbag, correct?
Yes.
And so you go look him up, right?
She told me to look him up on Google.
Right, and that's what you did, right?
Yes.
And then based on that, you tell the police, this is the guy.
Yes.
I don't have anything else.
Can you redirect?
Oh, wait, I have one more question. By the way, on this little trip to the hotel to pick up Timmy, Christian Rasnick wasn't there, was he?
No.
No other little white boys other than the 6-year-old, right?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Can you redirect?
Just real briefly, once you got the name Christian Rasnick, did you Google it?
Yes, I did.
Did any pictures come up?
It was a profile picture that I had on Google. It said Christian Rasnick. I clicked on that and it did pop up with the picture.
When that picture pops up, did you recognize the person in the picture?
It looked like him, but when I seen like the side of his face, it looked like he had like acne on his face.
Very good. And when you say it looked like him, who did it look like?
It looked like Chris.
I'm going to try playing this. I don't know if it's going to work without the speakers. This would be exhibit number 3. Do you recognize the voices there?
Yes.
And is that the audio from the conversation you had with Miss O'Neill?
Yes.
Is that the audio conversation recorded and then gave to the police?
Yes.
He would move to admit proposed exhibit number 4.
Any objection?
No objection.
Still done? No objection. Still?
Well, it's not as to my client anyway, so.
So you have no objection?
No objection.
Proceed.
I have no further questions of this witness. I'd ask that she be excused.
Okay. You can step down there.
Did you guys have anything? No?
Mr. Casey, did you have any other witnesses today?
They're all police officers from here on out. The next one's going to be our arson examiner. We can do it later. We can.
Yeah, Mr. O'Donnell has to be somewhere else. We're going to need another day. How many witnesses do you have left?
After arson investigator, we have the officer in charge, Detective Jimenez, and Detective McIntyre, just for advice of rights. All police officers.
You're talking about 4 or 5 witnesses. Then you have the witness that's not available.
Detective, Stamperoo, yes.
All right. Let me let Mr. O'Donnell go ahead and get where he has to go. We need another date, however.
Yes, I think that's the date, Judge.
The day next week.
There we go.
Well, to be very candid,
I'm not here on the 18th. I'm here the rest of the days. So 22 or 29.
I'm not doing 22. Yeah.
Oh,
About 20.
26, 27, 28.
Yeah. How about the next one? The second or third? What's good? Why am I listening?
We're at the May 2nd.
May 2nd is good for me.
That's fine.
In the afternoon. No. I know we can't. No, I can't anyway. May 2nd? May 2nd's here. Definitely.
Wednesday, May 4th?
Judge, how about the 4th, May 4th?
Is that a good day for the people? I'm here every day. How's that for the 4th day?
Yes, sir, it appears to be good.
What time would you like to?
I would like to give us as much time as possible. 9 o'clock. How we looking, May 5th? Good day.
Thank you.
May 4th. This case can see